Here's pre-calc problem 10-64. It says to determine the height h of Mount St. Mellon in the Cantaloupe Mountains, two angle measurements were taken 1,200 feet apart along a direct line toward the mountain. Using these measurements, calculate the height of the mountain. Okay, so they gave us a nice diagram. We do not know what this is. So I realized that if I did want to use one of my SOHCAHTOAs, because I do, because I got a right triangle, I've got this bigger right triangle, and then I've got the smaller right triangle, and my SOHCAHTOA that I would want to use is tangent, because I've got opposite over adjacent. So here's what I did. I said that tangent of 35 is opposite, which is h, over adjacent. I called this x, this little area right here. So that's why I got x plus 1,200. So that's tangent 35 is opposite over adjacent. And then my other, so basically it's a system of equations is the way I solved it. Then I said tangent of 42, is the smaller triangle, is just h, opposite over adjacent, h over x. Okay, so I start out with these two, and it's a system of equations, so I see that they both have h's in them, so I solve each one of the equations for h. Like if I multiply both sides of this top equation by x plus 1,200, then I will get h by itself. Okay, so I've got this equation solved for h, and then if I multiply both sides of this equation by x, I've got this other equation. They're both solved for h, so if I want to solve a system of equations, I can use equal values. So I can set these two equations equal to each other. So I did, see there's this one, and then that top one's up here. And then I realized these are just numbers. I mean, they're ugly numbers, but they're just numbers. Like, I didn't want to write the big, long decimally numbers, but tangent of 42 is just some little decimal. So x times some little decimal. You want to see what decimal it is? Tangent of 42. It's about 0.9-ish. I'm just going to write all this right. Oh, well, it's right there, isn't it? That's equal to, well, tangent of 35 was that number, and that big long number that I took it out of my calculator, distributed it to the x and distributed it to the 1,200, and that's where I got these numbers. Okay, so I'm just solving a system of equations. That's the full version of this one. Then I want to get all my x's together, so I subtracted, I abbreviated this big long number as 0.7 minus 2. This was all done on my calculator, but I was trying to show my work, so there we go. And then I've got, this ends up being like 0.9-ish x, and this is minus 0.7-ish x. So I got 0.2, that's the big long decimal of it, x, equals 840.25. And then I divide both sides by this 0.2, and I solve for x. And then I remembered that x on my picture is this. So what they're asking me is how tall the mountain is, so I still don't know yet. So I've got to plug that in. Like this x is just this bottom part right here, but I know tangent is opposite over adjacent. Right, so tangent of 42 is h over 4,197.13. So then I can, well, or you can just plug it in right here. So let your calculator do the hard work. So plug that number times tangent of 42, and you will get 3,779.11 feet.